In the meantime, in the middle of all this, breaking news, we're also awaiting a news conference where lawmakers are likely going to face a multitude of questions. This is the House GOP we're talking about first, then House Democrats. But the GOP, they're going to want to talk about something else, tax reform, ahead of tomorrow's hearing before the House Ways and Means Committee. Joining us now, Illinois Congressman Peter Roskam, who serves on that committee and heads up the Subcommittee on Tax Reform. Congressman, thanks for your time today.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Okay, I want to start with a little bit of the news of the day, and then we'll move on specifically to tax reform. Here is what the Senate Majority Leader had to say about dealing with news of the day while trying to get something done on Capitol Hill.
I think we could do with a little less drama from the White House on a lot of things so that we can focus on our agenda, which is deregulations, tax reform, repealing and replacing Obamacare.
What kind of complication is it for you, Congressman, dealing with all of these distractions while trying to get to the serious business that you and the president have promised to do, things like tax reform?
Well, the preference is to be undistracted by anything and to be able to focus in on tax reform and look at the once-in-a-generation opportunity that we have to have a transformational moment and update our tax code in ways that haven't happened. So there's going to be continuous dramas around town and around the world for that matter. But what we've got to do is not minimize those questions. They're serious questions that have to be dealt with, but not to be overwhelmed by them either. And that is to say, let's realize that we've got this incredible season. That is right now. We've got a national consensus that nobody likes our tax code, and we're not competitive. And let's use that, recognize the national inflection point that's here, and have this transformational moment. Tomorrow will be a big day in that it will be a continuation in terms of hearings about this very theme.
Okay, let's talk about one of the main issues that keeps coming up, and this is the idea of a so-called border tax, that you are going to raise revenue by imposing taxes on imports, but let taxes go on products that are made here domestically and then exported. It sounds like even within the GOP, there's not agreement on that. The president didn't include it in his very brief outline of the tax reform he'd like to see. Where do you stand on that? Will the GOP come together on that point?
Here's the bigger picture, and I'll speak directly to the border adjustment question. The bigger picture is, how do you get a tax code that's permanent, and how do we get the U.S. on the same footing as the rest of the world is? So in other words, 160 other countries around the world are countries that adjust at their border. So in other words, they take their taxes off of their products as they export them, and we don't do them. And we're in the fine company of other countries like Somalia and North Korea, no joke. So we've got to update our tax code. So if you're a manufacturer in my constituency in suburban Chicago, you're paying your income tax. That includes the cost of your when it's exported, a foreign jurisdiction is taxing it as well. The problem is the inverse is not true. So if you're manufacturing something overseas, they adjust their taxes, they take it off at the border, and we don't tax it here. So what we're looking for is a level of parity. One of the proposals is this concept known as border adjustment. Here's the larger point. We've got to put this all in the context of updating our tax code. So what does it look like if our economy is growing at 3% instead of 2%? What does it look like if folks have more money in their pockets? What does it look like if the tax code in its entirety is simplified? And what does it look like if we've leveled the playing field for American manufacturers and we have an actual manufacturing renaissance in this country? We're going to have a hearing on that very subject next week, and I think this is one of these issues, the more we learn, the better it looks.
Well, we know, Congressman, that you have been doing a lot of hard work on this for months. We look forward to the rollout and then the debate in the House and beyond. Thank you very much for making time for us this morning.
Thank you.
29 past the hour now, opening